welcome back to Bold of You to Say. We're back with another episode. This one is it's a review episode. We do movie reviews sometimes.
We're going to talk about my favorite movie.
This week we covered the 1999 hit The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser and I assume other people.
I mean, really, you come to this movie, what else do you want from it? It's just Brendan Fraser yelling at sand for an hour.
But before we got into the summary and review, we talked a little bit about Spider-Man and whether or not he's a super soldier, and talked a bit about some of the weirder parts of the lore. There will be timestamps listed out down below, so you can skip to whatever topic you'd like if you want to skip the Spider-Man section, or if you only want to hear about our thoughts, generally speaking, about the movie, or if you just only want to hear our recommendations of the week. If you're a crazy person that doesn't want to listen to the whole thing, we don't mind. A download is a download. And, subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. Follow us on social media. That'll all be linked down below. Friend Jared on Xbox and/or Steam. Follow us on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok.
Follow me home.
And, let's just get into it. You know how pretty much like half of the characters in the MCU are just an attempt to recreate Captain America?
Yeah.
Like, Hulk, like that's just like, super soldier serum, but with gamma rays. And there's probably others, but, a lot of characters in the MCU are just an attempt to recreate, the super soldier serum that made Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't really think about this until recently, but, Spider-Man's origin is never really delved into. I mean, you get a little bit of it, he was bitten by a spider. That's pretty much it.
In the MCU.
In Homecoming. Yeah, in the MCU. Yeah. So, I don't know if this is a theory or more just an observation, but I thought it's worth exploring the idea that, maybe the spider that bit Peter Parker was an attempt to recreate Captain America, but instead of using gamma rays or Vita rays, they just used, spiders.
Well, yeah, no, isn't that in the comics? Isn't that though basically what they were doing though with the spiders, and how Green Goblin also came to be? Is that they were failed super soldiers kind of thing? Like they were experimenting on the animals and shit.
Yeah, basically. So I posted a short video on TikTok, basically saying hey, what if Spider-Man is supposed to be a super soldier? And a couple people commented, one person, more than a couple commented, but a couple of people commented about how that kind of ties in with the lore in the comics.
Yeah.
About how originally it wasn't a genetically altered spider or whatever. If you're talking about Amazing Fantasy number 15, it's just a spider that got zapped with some radiation, fairly basic. But then
later on they started to get into more.
Yeah, in the Ultimate Comics, I believe they were trying to basically make super soldiers.
Yeah.
Then the spider bit Peter and whatever, and they were like, hey, there's this really strong guy with spider related themes and abilities.
It's a classic boy meets bug story.
It's the age old tale of boy meets bug, bug bites boy,
turns into bug,
boy adopts superpowers and a naming scheme inspired by a bug.
Boy gets bit
tale
by
as
bug.
Old as time.
I like to imagine what if Spider-Man gets bit by the spider and then they swap brains. It's whoa.
But yeah, I thought about it a little bit, in the last couple days, and how the serum amplifies what's inside.
Yeah.
If you're a good dude, then you're gonna become an awesome dude. If you're Steve Rogers, and if you're an asshole like John Walker, you're going to become a liability to the U.S. military.
Damn.
But, let's just say that your uncle was recently killed because of your inaction.
Yeah.
Then you would feel guilty about that. Normally a person would feel guilty, but, this is just I I don't know like how strongly I, believe in this, but it's possible that the serum sort of like amplified, or that's, the spider bite, whatever, the super soldier juice amplified Peter's sense of like guilt and responsibility. Just something to think about.
With big bugs come big power.
Yeah, it's with great power comes great responsibility, down to a biological level.
No. Everyone knows that the real quote was, people have the moral obligation to do things to help others if they have the ability to do so.
If you have the ability to do something and you don't do the thing, then the thing is going to happen and you're going to feel real bad about it.
Man, I'll remember that, Uncle Ben.
My Uncle Ben always told me, if you have the ability to do something, if you can help people, but you're able to do it, but you don't wanna, you don't feel like it, then if someone else does something and it's a bad thing and they have the ability to do it, and you have the ability to make them not do it.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I forgot what he used to tell me.
He said, my Uncle Ben he said a lot of things
very poorly. Do I remember anything? No.
Now I wrote this in the show notes, and I see that you have italicized it, bolded it, and made it red.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's an indication that you really like it. What I wrote down is, makes about as much sense as the Spider-Totem, something that we have clowned about quite a bit. Maybe not so much on the show, but definitely just, talking about Spider-Man. Jared, do you want to explain the Spider-Totem just so we have like a baseline for ridiculous things in Spider-Man lore? So like if you don't necessarily agree with what I say about, it being a super soldier thing, whatever, like at least it's not the most ridiculous thing you'll hear about Spider-Man.
So in one of the greatest comic book crossovers, they had a crossover with Spider-Man and himself. So it's called the Spider-Verse. Everyone knows this. They had a really good movie, which they omitted this part from because, it's stupid. So what it is there's a group of like vampire guys that are trying to kill Spider-Man because they want to get something that's inside of every Spider-Man. And it's this thing called the Spider-Totem. And what it is basically some people are born with the ability to become Spider-Man if it's activated. Which means Peter Parker wasn't just an everyday guy. Ooh, pardon me. He was predestined to be Spider-Man. Which is kind of dumb. But,
that's
only
bold of you to say.
So what the Spider-Totem is it's this thing that makes people into Spider-Man. But, like, at the same time, it doesn't count, because in the sequel, Spider-Verse 2, where Doc Ock is one of the Spider-Men, this requires more elaboration. So there's a point in time where Doc Ock was Spider-Man. He took over Peter's body.
Yeah, this was the Superior Spider-Man run.
One of my favorite runs because it's Spider-Man.
It's called Superior Spider-Man. I'm that's not me saying like it's the superior adaptation.
As a avid Doc Ock fan, it was the superior Spider-Man in my book. It will never be not.
Full disclosure, I've never actually read any of the issues in that art.
It's a great comic up until you get to the weird love arc Doc Ock has with like another kid's Peter's age, because Doc Ock is still like a 40-year-old, but like he's in Peter Parker's
definitely
body.
Older than 40. Like, I don't think any of the adaptations have been younger than, like, 60.
Yeah. It's
now,
a weird
Alfred
thing.
Molina. Alfred Molina is a young 60, but the character is still, like, definitely 60.
Yeah. But it's a weird arc, though. Like, I love Superior Spider-Man, but I always thought that was a weird thing. Like, I get what they were going for it, but, man, it just doesn't feel right. It's like Doc Ock's thirsting after this young Twitch thought, and it's like, what? Doc Ock, cool yourself off, man. You're like 80.
Now, what would be worse? Do you think that, or because they switched bodies, Peter's mind got put into Otto Octavius's body, and of course the body died, or whatever. But like, if the body survived, like if he was like a healthy,
and he's still dating MJ.
whatever age. What if he was, Peter was in Doc Ock's body, and he's like, fuck yeah, I can go gilf hunting now.
Oh,
what would you dread reading more?
I don't know.
I honestly, I don't know which one would be worse.
Both sound terrible. But yeah, no, so back to the Spider-Totem thing, though. Doc Ock then decided, because he liked being Spider-Man, it was like this weird thing where it's like there's a clone of Doc Ock, but he like remembers the shit that happened and stuff. So what he does is he has his own baby. So
Hold
he
on,
makes
what?
I told you about this. So what he does, he steals Peter Parker's DNA and some of his own, and he creates an artificial person, and he transfers his brain into that person, thus becoming Spider-Man Doc Ock, in like this weird hybrid of the two characters. I think his name's like the Superior Octopus. He joins Hydra for a bit, but he's not really with Hydra.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming this body is like aged up a bit. Like he's not hopping into like a newborn.
It is aged up, but it's aged up to Peter Parker's age.
Okay.
So Doc Ock becomes his weird, like, Otto Octavius, Peter Parker love child.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
So then Spider-Verse 2 happens, and Doc Ock's there. He's the one that starts to bring them all together. And everyone's got a totem except for him, but he still has Spider-Man superpowers, and it's just confusing because it's like, I thought you needed the Spider-Totem for it, but I guess not really if you're some weird freaky fanfiction love child. But then it even gets worse because then there's Silk.
The love child, it has Spider-Man's powers, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got the same abilities as Spider-Man. Like, it's super strength and stuff. It doesn't have the web shooters because, you know, that's not
of course
power.
It's patented.
Yeah. The web shooters started off as equipment, went to being organic, then went back to being equipment. And so Doc Ock doesn't have
wasn't
web
it
shooters.
Wasn't it after One More Day when they became organic, which came out, of course, around the time of the Sam Raimi movies, because they wanted it to, they wanted some like cohesion with the
I think it was an ultimate thing.
Oh, I think I like, now that you mentioned it, I think I can remember like seeing a panel where it's like Ultimate Peter Parker, and he's like, "Hey, I got squirty wrists." But,
yeah, it's the exact thing he uses to describe it.
Yeah,
But they might have done it
reading
with
the thing right now. I'm reading the panel. It says, "Hey, I got squirty things."
It might have. I think it actually. The weird thing with Spider-Man and normal Marvel is that they keep changing the timeline so often that it is very possible that they did do that in the 616 universe, which is the mainline timeline. So yeah, they probably did. I just don't remember it, but I do remember Ultimate Spider-Man. I could have sworn that was the one that
I will
very much had the organic stuff.
Yeah, I will link a video from NerdSync, great channel. Totally recommend checking out all of their content, but I will link a video from NerdSync, saving the link right now. It's about the history of Spider-Man's like webbing, like web shooters in the comics.
So
go check that out after you listen to this episode.
I want to talk about this though, because the way that they do it to give him the powers, like, well, I remember this. It wasn't 616. They did give him. They did give him organic ones because they had to turn him. They had to somehow figure out how it would work.
Yeah, they turned him into a giant spider, right?
No. Madam Web talks to him and says, "I'm going to give you an upgrade." Turns him into a giant spider that then dies and then gives birth to himself. And that's
of all the ways to get a stat upgrade.
If this was a video game, I would never level up again.
God.
It is a horrible, horrible image to think about. Peter Parker turns into a giant bug, dies, then gives birth to himself.
Is there even like an in-universe reason for this? Like, is Madam Web like, hey, you know, you're cool and all, like your powers are awesome, right? Like
I don't
doing
remember.
a good job out there fighting crime, but I mean, your numbers have been dipping. You're not cutting it anymore. I got to turn you into a giant spider.
Whatever the reason was for it, it wasn't as shocking as the whole I'm going to turn into a big bug, die, then give birth to myself part.
Right.
Because I can't remember anything beyond Madam Web turned Peter into a big-ass bug that died and then gave birth to itself.
I'd like to believe that
Just did for shits
goal,
and giggles.
The goal was to just replace Spider-Man with a giant man-eating spider. But then it just happened to like give birth to Peter, and Madam Web was like, exactly as planned.
Oh, yeah.
All has transpired as I have foreseen.
But there's just a lot of weird things that they're doing. I want to get into this now. I know that we have other stuff to do, but I want to talk about this a bit while we're on Spider-Man.
Yeah, we can go a few more minutes on this.
A weird thing that they keep doing with Spider-Man and his antagonist is they keep like putting more spiritual shit into it. And like,
yeah, that's a weird,
like for
that's
example,
a weird trend.
All of the symbiotes, they come from a planet, but they're also the children of the god of symbiotes named Null. And it's like, what?
So is that character a god? Because I know like
yeah,
a
he
little
is the
bit
god
about...
of symbiotes. No, like he's an actual deity.
Okay.
In like the Marvel pantheon, he's like he like represents destruction and shit. That's why the symbiotes are also like, you know, rabid and crap.
See, that's exactly what I was talking about in our Spider-Man 3 review. That's exactly what I was talking about when I said that there's too many implications when the symbiote comes from space.
Yeah. Like, the original idea was that they're just aliens. And then some guy's like, you know, we need a new big bad. What if we made God?
Yeah.
It's like,
symbiote
it's a
lore
cool
is so
story
weird.
arc. Like, it was a cool story arc having, like, the new big bad and all the symbiote shit that goes on. It was a nice send-off for some of the characters. But at the same time, it's like, this is fucking insane. They went from aliens to, like, demons, I guess? I don't know what to call them. Half-gods? It's a very confusing time.
Hey, these are confusing times. That's my best Planet or Professor Hulk impression.
Yeah. These are confusing times. Dab. But it's just like, I don't understand why they're doing it with Spider-Man, because it makes more sense with other characters, like Moon Knight, whose whole thing is all about gods and shit. Like, I don't know. Maybe have him deal with, like, some horrible god. Give him more attention.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Or, like, even Iron Man, it makes more sense.
I'm just thinking, though, it's just like, why are you doing this to Spider-Man? His powers were pretty, like, normal at first. And now it's just all weird shit. Like, they even had Moon Knight come in to explain Spider-Totems to them. And it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Imagine you're 15 years old, right? We've all been there, statistically speaking. And you get bitten by radioactive or genetically modified or some variation of an altered spider, and that spider bestows upon you heightened abilities, and you can stick to walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Now imagine you're in that situation, and someone who's a bit more in the know explains to you, okay, so there's this like spider totem and a god that you're gonna have to fight, and you're like, I thought this was a lesson about responsibility. No, this is no, you're fighting a deity.
My favorite part, though, is I love Moon Knight. He's one of my favorite darker heroes in the Marvel Universe, because this is, like, he's the character that helps people with the spiritual shit, because he's, like, the avatar of some old Egyptian god and shit. But he's also fucking batshit insane. He's got multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia, and a bunch of other shit.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think I've heard of that. I know very little about Moon Knight as a
I
character.
love Moon
I hope
Knight.
that he
He's
gets like
great.
his own movie or something.
I do too. He's such a fucking great character. Every personality has their own, well, like character to them, and they change like how Moon Knight operates and shit. And like, I fucking love him so much. He's just such a doll. But no, the thing is though, he's also the guy that's known for peeling people's faces off in the backs of alleyways. So this guy
Like you do.
approaches you, this 15-year-old you're talking about, and it's like, by the way, you have to kill God, and then leaves. So like everyone knows this is what this guy does. So
Right.
you just kind of sit there like, oh, what? Life just got more confusing. But yeah, no, I just want them to stop making like weird, like Spider-Man fight God and just focus on the character whose whole thing is he fights God.
Yeah.
It's like, I love Moon Knight, but like they've had him fight the entire Egyptian pantheon, I believe, and now he just kind of sits around, does nothing, and it makes me sad. Where's the love for Moon Knight?
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite things about Marvel as a whole is it has the same thing as Indiana Jones, where
Every
like,
religion is real.
Yeah, it encapsulates so many like mythologies, and all of them are like the correct one.
My favorite thing is when they made they actually had the Illuminati as a group, and it's the fucking like Avengers like Prime kind of shit. It's all the smart people. And
it's like Tony Stark and
now.
Reed Richards.
Tony
and, like,
Stark,
Professor
Reed
X.
Richards, Professor X, and I think Doctor Strange, and they're like parts of the Illuminati. There's a couple other ones, I think. But it's mostly like the smartest people in the universe. And it's like, wow.
It's just the white guys with the biggest egos.
Yeah. I mean, Professor X doesn't have a big ego. He's down to earth.
Maybe not outwardly.
Well, then again, he did make a giant room just so he could spy on everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not something that a humble person does.
I mean, to be fair, it's so he could find more mutants.
Right.
But you know he probably spies on people in his free time. Like, I wonder what Christopher Anderson's doing.
Yeah, well, you know what they
he's in the
say
bathroom.
about like absolute power.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you know. I don't, but I'm assuming you do.
Yeah, with absolute power comes a moral obligation to use that power to do good things. Thank you, Uncle Ben. That wasn't absolutely the worst way to say those words.
You know, in this week's episode of two Captain America boys sharing a shield and fighting crime, I want Sam and or Bucky to be like, you know, being around Steve so much, I learned one lesson from him, and that is when you have the ability to do a thing, but you choose not to do the thing, you have a moral responsibility to do that thing, but if you don't, then you should feel really bad about it.
No, you can't say responsibility. It has to be obligation. Because if you
did I say responsibility?
If you say responsibility, it'll make people say, why didn't they just say the other thing?
Yeah, I have an obligation to do the thing that I don't want to do it, but I gotta, because it's like really important.
Yeah, have you seen the last episode?
I have the power.
Have you seen last week's episode, last Friday's episode of that?
Episode 5?
It's the one, I think it's the one called Truth.
Yeah, whichever one just came out. Yeah, I watched them on the day they come out.
Imagine like the scene where Bucky is talking to Sam and like Sam's using the shield and they're like, he just turns to him and is like, hey Sam, I need to tell you something. And he just fucking regurgitates that line.
Sam, this shield means a lot of things to a lot of people. And to me, this shield represents that when you have the ability to do something and you don't do the thing, and people get hurt, you have a moral obligation to make sure the thing happens, and you have to be the one that does it or stops it, depending on the situation.
Sam just grabs Bucky's shoulder, looks him in the eyes. Bucky, go get some help.
You know, after everything that happened and trying to get all the Winter Soldier programming out of me, when I was in Wakanda, they taught me a very valuable lesson.
A very valuable but lengthy lesson.
It took like 15 minutes to finish the sentence, to be honest. But
here's an excerpt
very
from
important.
it.
The whole episode is just if you can, I'm not saying you gotta, but you really should.
It's like they explained this to me in such beauty and grace that I hope I can capture by just repeating it word from word.
I want a libertarian Spider-Man that's just like, look, I have an obligation to protect my property and nothing else. With great power comes great property rights.
Isn't that what evil Peter Parker was? Emo Peter Parker
Peter Parker, but he learns all of the wrong lessons.
It's like, you're right, Uncle Ben. That's why I started stealing from the banks to give to you and Aunt May.
If only, when that guy robbed the guy took all the money, I let him get away, and then he went on to kill Uncle Ben, and I learned a very valuable lesson from that. I learned a very valuable lesson. I should have stopped him and taken the money. Libertarian Spider-Man.
Spider-Man learns the wrong lesson from that. Man, I should have stopped that. When that guy, he went and he killed Uncle Ben. From now on, whenever I see someone breaking the law, I'm going to execute them on the spot. Just becomes the Punisher.
Yeah, basically.
He just walks up to a bunch of criminals like, hey, we're going to steal this lady's purse. Just rips his head off like a fucking Mortal Kombat fatality.
Out of all of the reasons to not like, Batman or Spider-Man or any superhero killing, out of all the reasons to dislike any superhero killing people, the most important one is that if you have, let's just say you have Spider-Man and he kills criminals, or Captain America or Iron Man, whoever, that kind of defeats the purpose of the Punisher.
Yeah. It's like, wait,
that's his
what
whole
I
thing.
do.
That's like his one personality trait. He kills people.
Like, I kill people. I got a skull on my chest.
And the morals and stuff too, but come on, we got to keep the Punisher relevant.
Yeah, that's his one gimmick. Like, at least Spawn, who's got a similar thing to the Punisher, he's a hell spawn.
My Uncle Ben taught me a very valuable lesson.
Execute people without jurisdiction.
If you have the ability to do something, and you don't, and you do it, but the person that did the initial thing, if you do a thing and he dies, then you just stole the Punisher's job.
Yeah. The Punisher's unemployed. He just goes after Spider-Man now. It's like, you took everything from me. Killing criminals was all I had left. So now I have to kill you. And Spider-Man's like, but wait, doesn't that mean your life has new purpose? It's like, oh, you're right. If I don't kill you, I'll have the purpose to try and kill you. And they make a deal. On weekends, he has to try and kill Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's got a week to prepare for it.
So that's just Craven. That's Craven's job.
Oh no!
The Punisher really doesn't have a purpose outside of killing, does he?
Yeah, I mean, no. He was a Vietnam, so I'm sorry, they changed that. It's no longer Vietnam.
And people don't understand that he's supposed to be a tragic character.
Yeah.
Not someone that you look up to.
Yeah. He's like Spawn. Spawn's not a good guy. Spawn's just a guy with the roughest fucking life.
Like if you
and also unlife.
Like if you see like a police car and it has the Punisher logo on it, fucking plan your funeral right now.
Oh my god.
Because the guy driving that car, and yes, it's a guy, he is out for blood.
Any criminal I see today is gonna get the Glock.
I mean, it's sad. It's sad that so many like cops and military people are like, oh fuck yeah, I love the Punisher. The Punisher's so cool. Oh yeah, he kills people. That's what I want to do. And it's like, oh, you don't get it. You don't get the character.
That's what my one job is.
Even the creator of the Punisher is like, fucking stop.
Stop
you look like
please.
a bunch of LARPing nerds. Out of all the characters you could LARP, you had to pick the Punisher.
Yeah.
But anyway, we passed the half-hour mark. We should get into the main topic for today's episode.
Oh, yes, please.
A review of the 1999 action-adventure smash hit, The Mummy.
One of the greatest movies of all time.
Yep. So normally, like for our Spider-Man 3 review, you know, we would usually, give a summary of the movie and then get into like criticisms or whatever. But I honestly didn't really have much in terms of like
criticism.
Well, I didn't really have anything
because
like, oh,
it's
this needs to be changed.
Movie.
It really is like it. Like it's not like Citizen Kane.
Fucking told you,
like,
it is a great fucking movie.
Like it's not like The Godfather, like, oh, this is the height of cinema, but it's not fucking trying to be.
It knows exactly what it is, and it has fun with it, and I fucking love it.
And that is what's missing from movie discussion in this current age. If a movie is exactly what it's trying to be, and it does it well, that's a good movie. Like even if you don't necessarily like it. Like you can't say like, oh, I don't like action adventure, so this unapologetic action adventure movie isn't good. Like, oh, you're just not fun. You're not a fun person.
You're just not fun to be around.
Like people despise your presence and they dread interacting with you. If you say The Mummy is bad. Now the Tom Cruise ones, I haven't seen those. No. So feel free to trash on those. I'm assuming they're bad. But the 1999 Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser, is an utter masterpiece.
I have another movie. Before we go on to talking about The Mummy, this is, actually, I'll save it for recommendation of the week.
All right, yeah, just add it as a bullet point, and we'll get into that after the review. So what I was thinking we would do with this one is just kind of give like a summary of it. I wrote down basically the order of events with any other notes that I took regarding like the quality or nitpicks or whatever. So let's just jump right into it. So the movie opens, and by the way, did you watch the movie?
Alex, this is a movie I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of times. It's engraved into my mind.
All right, I will.
This movie traumatized me as a kid. I think I remember it.
So the movie opens with a sweeping shot of ancient Egypt. You get a narration exposition dump. There's a pharaoh, as there usually is in ancient Egypt, and he has a girlfriend or / mistress, whatever. I don't know if they want to put labels on it, but
Anaxunanam.
I will not remember that name.
Anaxunanam. Sunaman. It's a hard name because it's Egyptian.
So the pharaoh's girlfriend cheats on him with the high priest. So, she gets killed twice. And the high priest and his posse get
Emotep.
killed and
Emotep. That's the name of the high priest.
Sure. So
I'm sorry.
he and his posse get killed in possibly the worst imaginable way. Like not even Guantanamo Bay would dream of this style of execution.
They get mummified alive.
Yeah.
Except
but first
for
I want to
Emotep.
mention this is like secretly a feminist story, at least this opening sequence.
Oh yeah.
Like you go, girl. Like don't let any man tie you down. Don't if you're with a man, he does not own you. Okay, and if you want to be like, hey, I don't like where this is going. You know, I don't like having to walk around mostly naked, painted with gold. You know, you shouldn't have to deal with that. So
I don't like being
girl.
painted gold. Why did you do this to me?
It's weird that everyone has like a gold veneer on them in this society.
It's because they're rich.
But anyway, yeah. So the priest, the high priest, and his slightly less high, like lower priests. The lower priests get mummified alive, which
is horrible.
That's probably the top number one worst way to die. Which, by the way, like being mummified alive, I feel like it undersells it, honestly. Until later in the movie, like it doesn't go into like the process. Like when you get mummified, like the process involves basically, like, you know, it mentions later in the movie, but yeah, you remove the brain through the nose, you remove the abdominal organs through a slit in the torso, and you completely dry the whole body.
Yeah.
Now, you're not going to live through the whole thing, but you're going to live through enough of that like...
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
And that wasn't the main punishment.
Yeah. Which, by side note about the whole mummification thing, like, aside from it being, like, horrible and painful, it's not really something, like, you know, just nitpicking. Like, this doesn't, like, make the movie worse, but, you know, just a nitpick worth mentioning is that this, you know, obviously, factually, it was never used as a punishment, and it never would be. Because it's like, this is like a deeply entwined like religious practice in ancient Egyptian culture. And it was like, you know, aside from it being like religiously significant, it was honestly just really expensive and time consuming. So only like royalty and like the wealthy elite got mummified.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we mentioned in the Spider-Man thing, like, you know, certain franchises do this thing where like, every mythology that's represented is the correct one, like Indiana Jones and this movie, where it's like, oh, we have this ancient culture. Oh, their religion is the correct one.
Yeah.
So like everything that Egyptians believe about like the afterlife is correct. So like, what's the plan here? Like, I get with the main guy, like we're going to get to his thing in a minute, but like the thing with him is like they put a curse on him where, you know, he's basically like undead forever. He doesn't get to go on to the afterlife. But mummifying the other guys, like that ensures that they do go on to the afterlife.
Yeah, it's basically just because like they read how bad that is, so like, oh, this would make a horrible torture, so that's what they did.
Yeah, the writers of the movie, of course, they were just including whatever seemed like, you know, the most brutal.
Yeah,
but like in universe, like it just doesn't make sense as a punishment.
In universe, it's just so we can have mummies in the movie called The Mummy.
Yeah. Also, another nitpick when in this opening sequence, the pharaoh's girlfriend kills herself before, you know, the royal guards can get to her. Yeah, and the high priest,
you go, girl,
takes her body. Yeah, what the thing that the high priest and his, you know, lower priests get in trouble for is, you know, fucking the pharaoh's girlfriend and also trying to bring her back to life with this like Necronomicon kind of book.
Yeah, and the Book of the Dead.
You know, the narration mentions like, yeah, you know, he put her on the altar, had her vital organs in jars, laid next to her body. Then it's like, oh, and he tried to do the thing and it didn't work because the people interrupted him. Or maybe she didn't come back to life because her vital organs were sitting in jars next to her. I don't know.
Watch as that's what it was. I said the words right. What the fuck?
Imagine you bring your mistress back to life, and she's like, "Honey,
where's my lugs?"
Yeah, why, honey? Why is my lower intestine in that jar over there?
Why is my intestine in that jar that my mom gave to us? You know, the one with the Anubis head on it.
Honey, why is there a distinctly hollow feeling in my skull? And why is there a jar with what appears to be a human brain sitting next to me?
What did you do to me?
What part of this plan seemed like a good idea to you?
All of it.
Typical man.
This whole plan made sense to me. So yeah.
So anyway, the guy, the high priest, gets punished. The thing that happens to him, he doesn't get mummified alive. He gets a curse put on him, where I guess they cut his tongue off alive. They put a curse on him called.
They also fill his casket with the scarab beetles.
Right. The Hamdai, that's the name of the curse they put on him.
Yep.
So basically what it does is, they wrap him up like a mummy and they put him in a sarcophagus, and they bury him alive, of course. But the curse prevents him from like passing on to the afterlife.
But it also does extra things, and this is the thing that bothers me about the movie. It gives him super strength, super speed, the power to cause plagues and bring about the end of the world, and all this other shit. It's like, why are you giving him this status buff?
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. Like, I understand like the half of the curse that's like, oh, he doesn't get to go to Egyptian heaven. Like, I get that, but like, I feel like the trade-offs are so like the trade-off is he doesn't get to go to Egyptian heaven, but
he's essentially evil Superman.
Yeah, if anyone digs him up, he will be invincible and he will go on a murderous rampage. I'm comfortable with the decisions I've made up to this point.
It's like you get to become essentially a god among men. Oh,
now one thing that's mentioned in the narration is that if the mummy from the Mummy is dug up and they release his body or whatever, like, it'll unleash the 10 biblical plagues upon the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And when it mentioned unleashing a plague, it's just like hold on.
Caused COVID.
Did the Mummy cause COVID?
Now, Alex, you want to hear something even more fucky wucky?
What?
A year, I think like a couple months before COVID hit, they dug up a mummy's tomb and opened it.
God,
and like the inscription on it says something like, if you open this casket, you will bring about the end of the world. And it's like, oh shit, the mummy's real, guys.
Brendan Fraser out of retirement.
Oh, god damn it. What a time to be alive. I get to witness the Mummy in real time. Oh.
So anyway, we skip forward to 1923.
When this takes place. And it makes me sad that it takes place here, because we'll never get a crossover between Indiana Jones and Rick O'Connell, Brendan Fraser's character.
Oh yeah. The sequel takes place at least 8 years past this movie, which takes place mostly in 1926.
Yeah.
So that puts him about the time of Indiana Jones's first adventures.
Yeah, but isn't he like a really kid, like a low, like, no, because like Indiana Jones, like his whole thing is he's fighting Nazis and stuff too, though.
Well, the first movie takes place in 1936.
Yeah,
Temple of Doom is a prequel in 1935. I believe it takes place like a year before. So like, this would be the sequel would be taking place around the start of Indiana Jones's adventures. So
So while Brendan Fraser's like really
there's an above
old
0% chance of the crossover happening,
but it can happen, is what you're saying.
Conceivably.
We need to make this movie.
So anyway, 1923, the Templars, the Magi, are protecting, the guy that, they cursed as a group, it is their fault objectively. So, they're like, hey, we can't let anyone, complete the course of actions that we set in motion. And there's a big old battle happening. Brendan Fraser.
I forget, what are they part of? It's not the UN. It's something else. It's like the French Foreign Legion or something like that.
It's white guys trying to grave rob it. It's all the same.
No. Like Brendan Fraser and Benny, they're part of an actual like real world military outfit. And like that was like a big thing for like, what was it? What fucking military were they part of? Because
I don't know.
It's not the same as the old guys, but like they know each other from being in that military.
Yeah. I don't know what special forces unit they're in.
It's special.
So yeah, the big old battle happens. Brendan Fraser escapes because he's the main character, of course.
After you forget the part where him and Benny have to like hold the line, and then Benny fucking runs away immediately.
Yeah, Benny, or as I call him, Cowardly Lion.
I love Benny. He's such a great character.
He's like, the head honcho runs away. He's like, oh, I guess you got promoted, Brendan Fraser. And then the Templars come, charging towards him, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck off too.
Yeah.
So, Brendan Fraser, fights a good fight. By the way, Brendan Fraser kind of hot.
Oh yeah.
But what's not hot is the CGI sand. At a few points in this movie, there's CGI sand, and let's just say the technology went a long way between this movie and Spider-Man 3.
The CGI is a bit dated in a lot of the scenes. However,
it's
a lot of the
dated.
practical effects are great, though. I
will say that it doesn't take away from the overall quality of the movie.
Yeah. Good old cheesy action movie.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love it.
But so then the battle happens. Brendan Fraser's like the last one left, and the Templars are like, should we kill him? And the head Templar is like, no, let's let him go. He's the main character. The desert will get him anyway. Spoiler alert, it doesn't.
It's not just that. He also runs into the Hammurabi, which is the city of the dead where they buried the mummy.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, let's not follow this guy as he walks to the thing we're protecting.
Yeah, that's an annoying trope in movies. It's like in Star Wars when there's, the one escape pod that escapes, and it has C-3PO and R2-D2 on it, and the Imperials are like, should we shoot it? There's no signs of life. What's the worst that could happen? And then the worst thing happens.
I like that trope, though, because it just gives you more incentive to do your job, right?
It's a cautionary tale. This
do you want to be like that
lesson.
Guy? This man not shooting that escape pod is responsible for the single worst terrorist attack to happen in Imperial history.
This movie taught me a very valuable lesson. If you have the ability to shoot an escape pod and you don't shoot that escape pod, and then it blows up the Death Star, you have a moral obligation to shoot the escape pod.
Yes.
Something like that.
What a tale. A tale as old as time.
So anyway, 3 years pass. We're in 1926 now. And we get a scene with librarian lady. She does the classic library dominoes move.
Oh yeah.
And destroys the entire room.
If basically she's responsible for the Great Fire of Alexandria.
Yes. So Bargain Bin Tim Curry gets mad at cute librarian lady, so she tells him why she'll be useful later in the plot. Yeah, he's like, what the fuck have you done here? And he's like, what do I even keep you around for? And she's like, well, I can read hieroglyphics. And it's like, well, that's a very specific thing to say in this movie about probably reading hieroglyphics later.
Yeah, she's very important to the plot, though, because, spoiler, she's basically the cause for it.
Yeah. And then, so the librarian lady, she's like, hey, I'm good at reading hieroglyphics. And then her brother comes in and he's like, I'm the comic relief.
He's also another thing though, the character Jonathan, he's the biggest asshole in the movie because he's only in it to grave rob.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so Comic Relief Brother, he finds a treasure map and Discount Tim Curry immediately burns it, which watching the movie I was like, I thought it was just from incompetency, but luckily later on it's revealed, he's part of the Templar, so it's like, oh, he did it on purpose.
Yeah, you mean the Magi?
Yeah, whatever.
No, they're different, I swear. The Magi are cooler. They're like fucking, like, they ride camels and shit.
And
They've got curved swords. Curved swords.
So we get some a little bit more exposition from Bargain Bin Tim Curry. He's like, oh, this city, it has a lot of gold, and people that go to try to find it don't succeed in trying to find it.
So don't find it.
So the Comic Relief Brother is like, hey, I found this map, and cute librarian lady is like, hey, where'd you get that? And then Comic Relief Brother takes her to where he got it from. They go to this prison, or this jail, I guess. And Brendan Fraser gets a reintroduction identical to that of Chewbacca.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, where they bring him out. He's in chains. He's got his hair is all like grown out and mad, and he's growling, much like Chewbacca. And so, yeah, he's like, hey, I went to the place, and she's like, cool. Can you take me there? And he sexually assaults her, and then he's like, get me out of here, and I'll take you to the city of gold.
And then we're introduced to probably one of my least favorite characters who got the worst thing happen to him.
Oh, yeah. I didn't really feel that bad for him.
Okay, to be
he really
fair,
is like Jabba the Hutt.
He's a piece of shit, but that's the worst way to fucking die.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Fuck those Beatles, man. That shit, that was one of the scenes that fucked me up as a kid, and it still bothers me to this day.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse, that or the scene where they're mummified alive.
Yeah. No, see, the mummifying alive thing isn't what fucked with me. It's that, and then the scene with Mr. Barnes, the guy that gets his eyes plucked out.
Oh, God.
The first half of this movie is like a fucking horror movie when they enter the pyramid or the city, because it's just horrible shit after another, and if it's not there, the movie still wouldn't be the same. But a lot of it's just like, if you show this to a little kid, it will probably fuck with them.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love this movie, and I will never wish for any part to be omitted from it.
So yeah, Brendan Fraser gets into a little tussle, and then they're like, let's kill him. So cute librarian lady clearly read Art of the Deal. So, she uses facts and logic to get Brendan Fraser out of, being brutally murdered. And to be fair, she is negotiating with possibly the worst negotiator.
Yeah.
Because she's like, we'll give you 10% of what we find. She's like, I'll give you 10%. And he's like, 50%, 35, 40, 30. And then he like says an amount lower than what she says. And she's like, deal.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck. All right, let him go.
My favorite part though is, I'll give you £100 for his release. And he's like, I'll fucking pay you £100 to kill him. It's like, what did he do? What did Brendan Fraser do?
That's my favorite thing when like the scoundrel is like, he's a scoundrel, but people are like, I will chop off my dick if it means that he is killed in the most brutal way possible. It's like, what the fuck did he do to you off screen?
It's like, what happened?
Something happened here.
So
yeah, Brendan Fraser then meets back up with them at the dock, and he gets a haircut to indicate that he's hot. Cute librarian falls for the lovable scoundrel in a very Leia fashion.
They're also introduced to the American Party, which is another like archaeologist guy and his bounty hunters.
Bunch of assholes.
Along with their guide, a reoccurring character from the beginning of the movie,
Cowardly
Benny.
Lion.
Yeah, he shows up again. And it's great. So So they go.
Yeah, they go on a boat ride. They can't go one boat ride without having a shootout.
I think is it the Magi that attacked them on the boat ride? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, the Templars attack them on the boat to try to retrieve the map and the key.
God, I hate that you keep doing that. I know that they're basically the same, but come on, man.
Are you triggered?
Magi just sounds cooler.
It's debatable.
Damn.
So yeah, they crash the fucking boat, so they lose pretty much everything. So they go to like the nearest town. Cute librarian gets a new outfit to indicate that she's hot, and they get some camels, the horses of the desert, and take a road trip to Sand Atlantis.
Oh, so at this point the group has split up, by the way, too.
Yeah. The asshole Americans have gone their own way, and the ragtag group of protagonists have gone their own way.
And the Jabba the Hutt guy, he also is with them.
Oh yeah, Jabba the Hutt's there too.
He wants his money.
No one out Jabba's the Hutt,
except for Bugs, apparently.
God. The ragtag group of protagonists then run into the asshole Americans again, and we get a they're digging in the wrong place moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Indiana Jones, when it's like these fucking idiots. They think they know where they're going, and this the hero's talking. These fucking idiots. They think they know what they're doing, but they don't. They're not the protagonists, so they don't know.
Once they find the way in, the American group goes to the main chamber where they think the Book of the Dead is hidden, while the protagonists all split up and start looking around.
Yeah. Grave robbing ensues. Some faces get melted.
Yeah, the Americans have a group of locals that they hired to help them. Most of them die horribly.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a little bit... I'm trying to remember if it's after this scene. Yeah, it's after that scene. Jabba the Hutt gets killed, too. And what I'm going to say is the worst way for anyone to die in this movie, and that's... He's looking for stuff he can steal and sell for money because he wants his percent of the deal. And so he finds on this wall a bunch of like gold scarabs, and he starts putting them in his pocket.
Out they're only gold plated.
Yeah, one of them burrows into his skin and then crawls into his brain and eats him from the inside out. Yeah, so that happens. And
this movie has a lot of horrible deaths.
Yeah. Like you watch as like they fucking have the thing like moving around under his skin and he's screaming the whole time. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a horrible death, but it's for a shitty character, so it's not all that bad, but you're still watching. It's like, who deserves this? Name one character in this movie that deserved to die like that.
Yeah.
So he dies.
That's rough.
A whole bunch of people fucking die, but they find the book.
Yeah,
and that's what matters.
They find the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, the Book of the Dead or whatever.
Now, another thing though is because they're the ones who found it, they're all marked to die.
Yeah,
like the main protagonists, the British people with Brendan Fraser, they're okay. It's the American group. Every single one of the named characters in that group is marked for death, except for Benny, because he ran away.
Yeah, so they get the book, the asshole Americans. Then they're all, sort of camping together. And cute librarian steals the book and then proceeds to unleash the literal apocalypse on accident.
Yeah, she starts to read from the book, and as she's doing it, the American guy with the fez, the archaeologist, wakes up and is like, stop! But it's too late, because you can see over the horizon, a swarm of locusts descends upon the camp.
Yeah, so the mummy from the Mummy must owe a lot of money to the mob or something, because he starts harvesting organs. You see one guy gets his eyes and tongue removed.
Mm-hmm. That's the first of the victims. Now, no one has died yet. Actually, no, the archaeologist guy is eaten alive by the swarm of locusts.
And the workers, the people that work for the asshole Americans, they get their faces melted off, as mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like from the Mummy's actual curse. Only one person's dead.
Also,
The other workers get eaten by the swarm of scarabs that attack them also.
Yeah.
Basically, if you don't have a name, you're fucked in this movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Even if you do, like you still have only like a 60, like it's 50-50 whether or not you make it.
And that's why I like this movie. You just never know who's going to die next. Like, it's going to be the Americans, of course, but you never know if they're going to live or not.
So yeah, the mummy from the Mummy starts, rampaging around. It's all scary and stuff. And then he corners Cowardly Lion. And Cowardly Lion clearly knows his action adventure lore because he starts using protection spells from every major religion.
Until he starts speaking Hebrew. And that,
yeah. And the mummy from the Mummy is revealed to be canonically anti-Semitic.
Well, yeah, because back in like Egyptian times, wasn't it like the Jews were their slaves or something to the Pharaoh?
Yeah, the mummy from the Mummy says,
the language of
the slaves. You will be of great use to me.
No, I just like that scene though with Benny because he's the smartest character in any kind of horror movie because he's got a fucking totem from every religion and memorized all of the fucking prayers.
Oh yeah, he's clearly supposed to be like a coward, but like he's right in this moment.
Yeah, he is fucking smart. Like I remember there's a movie, I forget what it's called, but it's a movie about this monster hunter guy, and he you see all the stuff he has, and at one point he opens up a box, it's got like a fucking things from all different religions, and it's like, that's the guy who's going to live through the fucking movie.
The protection spells stack.
Yeah.
He has like a +10 in defense.
But I like that because it's just like, you never see that in most movies. There's never a character that's prepared for this exact fucking thing.
Yeah, it's like that's some like Batman level stuff. Like
I
that's
love
Batman
Benny.
levels prepared.
So yeah, now Benny and the Mummy are working together.
Yep. And so then Librarian Lady and Brendan Fraser later on when they're back at base camp or whatever, they have
they get saved by the Magi.
Yeah.
So everyone, including the guy with no eyes, makes it out relatively unharmed.
Yeah, and they, the two of them have like a Temple of Doom style, like, fine, I didn't want to hook up anyway kind of moment. And that, like,
which is a weird thing to do after all the shit that just went down.
Hey, these are horny times.
I just watched a guy with his eyes removed scream at me. God, I wish I could fuck you.
We get a little bit of a bit more edging with the two of them. It's like, will they, won't they? I mean, they definitely will. It's an action adventure movie. He's the male protagonist. She's the female protagonist.
When one of the main characters of the sequel movie is their son, yeah, they're going to.
To be fair, I didn't read the synopsis for the sequel until after I finished the movie.
Good for you.
Yeah,
you did good, Alex.
I didn't know if it would have spoilers.
It does. It has a lot of spoilers.
Yeah. So after that we get Cowardly Lion. He tricks the one guy that got his eyes and tongue removed into meeting up with a masked person that he thinks is some kind of like priest or something, and he's not wrong.
No. Like what happens is they all have the jars that have the organs in it. All the Americans, that's their part of the treasure they found. And Imhotep is going to suck them dry to get power from them to become human again. And also he wants the jars back. So they pretend that he's this like eccentric masked like billionaire that wants to buy the jar from him.
Oh, okay. I thought that Benny like tricked the guy into being like, oh, this person is gonna help you like uncurse yourself or whatever. That's what I thought it was, but
oh no, his eyes are fucking gone. They were ripped out. The mummy took his eyes and tongues and shoved them into his body.
Yeah. What a fate.
It's a horrible fucking way to go. A lot of horrible deaths in this movie.
One thing that I find funny about this scene though is that the mummy from the Mummy feels the need to wear a mask around this guy whose eyes he removed
No. It's just for the when he's entering the guy's room because he has to go to the apartment that's above the bar.
Right. But it's Benny, the one guy, and the mummy in the room together. The mummy still has the mask on until it's like, ooh, dramatic reveal.
Oh yeah, that's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
If I was wearing a mask, like I'll just take it off later. He can't see me. What's the harm in it?
So yeah, the mummy from the mummy downloads all the guy's moisture and vital organs. And at this point, it's revealed.
Gives him the good sucky suck.
Sucks out all of his fluids, so we can assume that he sucked out
His balls.
all of his fluids.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that guy's cum in him. So at this point, it's revealed that mummies fear cats, indicating that they operate on creeper rules.
Yeah.
So then in the next scene, Discount Tim Curry is revealed to be a member of the Templars, which, like I mentioned earlier,
to the leader again. I forget his name. It's like Ardeth Bray or something.
Something like that.
No, it's Ardeth something.
Yeah. So yeah, Discount Tim Curry is revealed to be, one of them, and it makes the one scene at the beginning of the movie make a lot more sense when he burns the map, because it's like, oh, I get it now. I thought he was just a dumbass.
Yeah. I thought he was just a dickhead. Nah, he's trying to save you idiots.
So at this point, the ragtag group of protagonists, the asshole Americans, and the Templars join forces to stop the mummy from the mummy. The mummy from the mummy downloads another body, is revealed to be seeking the big book of secrets so he can sacrifice the librarian lady to bring back his ex. It's like, dude, get over her. It was 3,000 years ago, man.
You also forgot to mention, though, at this point, though, the mummy has, like, brainwashed literally everyone, except for, like, a handful of people, including the British Air Force guy. Oh, do you?
Yeah. Okay. That's in, like, the next scene, I think. So, yeah, the mummy downloads some more moisture, does the good sucky suck to become partially resurrected guy from the mummy.
My favorite thing, though, about that scene, though, is the guy that he sucks the stuff out of is doing like a fucking like taxi driver, like, you talking to me thing the whole time. And then he immediately gets fucking killed.
That's what you get for trying to be a badass.
It's like, you try to be a badass in a movie starring Brendan Fraser, you're just going to die.
Oh, yeah. It's like trying to out Pizza the Hut.
Yeah, well, I mean, those Beatles did it.
I thought you were doing Curb Your Enthusiasm, but nope, it just turned into the I'm Mr. White Christmas. Forget the name of the song. But
we should redo that, except it's just a recap of the mummy.
God, can we bring back parody YouTube?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Oh God, I just read one of the things you put down.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
That doesn't happen in the movie.
It does. It absolutely does.
No.
So partially resurrected guy from the mummy recruits a zombie army, presumably funding their college education.
Yeah, they all got boils on them now too.
In a stroke of genius, they all become ugly, indicating that they're the bad guys.
Yeah. Wow.
In a stroke of genius, comic relief brother perfectly blends in with the zombie army, which, happens never again for some reason. Seems like a really useful tactic. When they're
they don't really encounter the zombies anymore.
I guess. Just blend in with them. Just vibe. Just have a just chill.
Vibe with the poxwalkers.
instead of trying to get away from them, instead of trying to run them over, just kind of be like, ooh, brains. What's the guy's name? Ooh, and then just kind of shuffle away.
Emotep. That's the guy's name.
Yeah, Emotep. I don't know why, but I'm so bad at, I remember like a couple of the names from this movie.
Pause the review. Name all the characters you remember.
Okay, there's Brendan Fraser.
That's not his name.
Rick O'Connell.
Okay, there you go.
Evelyn,
Yep.
the librarian lady.
That is right.
Jonathan, Benny, Emotep. End of list.
These are all people I have mentioned the name of in the past 10 minutes.
You know what?
Alex.
I'm not perfect.
Everyone returns for the sequel. You need to know these names. Well, except for like the people who died.
I'm not perfect, okay?
God damn it, Alex.
So anyway, partially resurrected guy from the mummy downloads the last body needed to become fully regenerated guy from the mummy. They even say in the movie, oh no, he's fully regenerated guy from the mummy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God damn it.
Discount Tim Curry sacrifices himself so Brendan and the gang can rescue the librarian lady from fully regenerated guy from the mummy. And in the most ambitious crossover in cinematic history, the ragtag group of protagonists teams up with the British Royal Air Force to save librarian lady.
You forgot one word there. Suicidal British Royal Air Force soldier.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, his name's like Wilson. And his whole thing is Winston. That's right.
One name that I remember.
I give you credit because I forgot his name. I thought it was Wilson.
I remember.
But Winston, though, he's my favorite character, but his backstory is fucking depressing. He's from the Royal Air Force, and his entire fighter team got killed in a fucking sandstorm, and he's the only one left, and all he wants to do is die.
See, I remembered his name because I was like, oh, Winston from New Girl, and then I was like, oh, Winston Churchill, probably a better association. You know,
yeah.
New Girl is such a great show.
Winston Churchill.
This isn't in the recommendations
from New Girl
of the week, but check it out.
My favorite character from New Girl was Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister of World War II.
He was not the Prime Minister of Britain, the Prime Minister of World War II.
He was in charge of it all.
He orchestrated the whole thing.
It was an inside job. the British the London Blitz was an inside job.
So anyway, where were we? So
Winston Churchill.
The most ambitious crossover in cinematic history. And then British Royal Air Force guy gets swallowed by the Sarlacc. That's the one that you mentioned earlier did not happen. It did happen. Okay?
That's an oversimplification
that is
of events.
Exactly what
happens.
That is exactly what happened, Jared.
The four main guys, Rick O'Connell, Jonathan, Ardith Bray, and Winston are all in the airplane. They're flying. The mummy uses his... The mummy uses his elf eyes to see a very far distance ahead of him and sees that they're coming. So he yells into the sand.
He has a +5 in perception.
Yeah. So he just yells into the sky and it makes a wall of sand with his face on it. And then he hits the plane with it.
Which, by the way, I want to see that scene, but it never cuts away from the bad guy
doing the mouth thing.
Doing the mouth thing. I guess the whole scene, oh no, he's getting us. But it never cuts away from him just
standing there with his mouth open.
Yeah, possibly the goofiest shot in the whole movie. I love it so much.
Dude, you're gonna love the second one.
I bought the whole trilogy on Blu-ray, so I'm getting my money's worth. The third one, just judging by the title of the third one, it sounds funky.
The third one is where Brendan Fraser was well into his divorce, so you could hear it in his voice how broken of a man he is, and it's just it's not as fun. They recast Evelyn, so that's the first sin they committed.
They recast her?
Yeah. Aww. It's bullshit. They were going to get Ardith back in for it, the Magi guy, but he's like, this isn't taking place in Egypt. Why would I be there? Which is a very fair point.
Yeah.
Because it takes place in China.
Yeah, that's like teaming up with Winston from New Girl again. This isn't a British territory.
It's
it's one of the few places that isn't one, to be fair.
It's like the guy's whole thing is he needs to defend Hammurabi from like thieves and stuff. Why would he go and do something else? Like the only reason he does something else in that one movie is because the mummy's trying to destroy the world. Spoiler alert, that's the plot of the second movie.
Yeah, like
something happens and
well, it's like having like Dr. Doom rob a bank. It's like, yeah, he's a bad guy. That's what bad guys do. But like he doesn't, like him individually does not need to be doing this. Same thing. Like I get he's a supporting character, but why would he be there?
Yeah. So he doesn't come back. They replace him instead with someone
Short
else.
Round from Indiana Jones. If it's not that, I will stop the movie and I will return the Blu-ray.
No, it's a different character. I'm trying to remember. It's like... No, they don't replace him. They're just going to have him in there. No, that's right. I was trying to remember my trivia. No, they just want him in there for some scenes, but it makes no sense because there's like 6 people in that group. And all of them are main characters. There's a... You know what? I'm not going to talk more about Tomb of the Dragon Emperor until we get to it. Because that's the name of the third one. I wonder if it has anything to do with ancient Egyptians.
My guess is it doesn't.
So, Winston dies by being eaten by quicksand, not the Sarlacc pit
swallowed by the Sarlacc.
No!
Don't fight me on this, Jared.
Damn you!
So anyway, fully regenerated guy, that is his name at this point, attempts to sacrifice librarian lady. Brendan and the gang find the golden book of stopping the bad guy. The final act battle happens. They use the golden book of stopping the bad guy to take control of the zombie priest army and deactivate fully regenerated guy's healing factor, thus fulfilling the golden book's destiny of stopping the bad guy.
Fuck you. God damn it, Alex. You're not wrong, but this isn't right. Damn it. So yeah. Also, they meet up with
movie summaries.
I just get
right down to exactly what's happening.
You forget another important part though, because while this whole fight scene's going on, it's like a 15-minute fight scene. It keeps cutting to Benny just grave robbing the place.
Oh yeah, and he gets what's coming to him.
Yeah, he gets a fucking lot of shit out though. Like it's like the thing is though.
Well, he ends up getting trapped.
Yeah, but he gets all that gold. Like there's the end scene where you see them on the camel and it's just full of fucking gold. Like the saddlebags. It's like he gets so many fucking bags out of there.
Well, Benny doesn't get to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, because so after they kill Imhotep and like there's the whole like he's mortal now scene. And then like a chariot comes and drags him into hell.
Yeah.
So that happens.
Yeah, my understanding is that he comes back in the sequel. I have no idea how. Don't spoil it for me. I just want to say that
I'm going to say this. It's not as interesting. It's very anticlimactic.
Well, it's one of those things where like the bad guy gets killed in the first movie, but they still try to find a way to bring him back in like a really unnatural way. Like I don't mean unnatural, like they resurrected his soul. Like I mean like it doesn't seem natural in the story. Yeah.
No, basically, the sequel. Would you mind if I spoiled it? Because it's not that big of a thing.
I don't mind.
Okay. You remember the part where they read the book and he came back to life?
Yeah. Does someone do that again?
Yeah, except it's bad guys that work for him that do it.
Well, hold on. So then is he still under the curse then? Because the reason that they were able to bring him back is because of the curse.
Yes.
But the whole point of the third act of the movie is undoing the curse. So they don't actually undo the curse, which makes the ending of the first movie irrelevant.
They don't talk about that for good reason.
I guess.
It's basically retconning that part. So, so that happens. Also, a thing that they bring in the sequel that they don't bring, we'll get to that later. But so
yeah, so they stop the bad guy. The temple collapses like they do, and Benny is left inside to be eaten
lion.
Cowardly lion is left inside to be eaten by big old bugs.
Yeah, what happens is also another fucked up scene. He's in the treasure room, surrounded by all the gold, and he sees bugs crawling out of the woodwork, basically. And he's got this little torch, and it starts to die off, and the bugs start getting closer. Then you hear screaming, a lot of sounds of bugs crawling, some like goopy noises, and then that's all. So Benny fucking dies horribly also.
Yeah.
Like, he deserves it, though. I'd say Benny deserves it, because Benny's like a fucking piece of shit.
He had so many opportunities to not be the worst.
Yeah. Hey, O'Connell, looks like I've got all the horses.
Hey, Benny, looks like you're on the wrong side of the river, you fucking idiot. You little dumb cunt. You fucking piss baby.
The problem with the sequels to The Mummy... The problem with the sequels to The Mummy is that there's no good replacement for Benny.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
Like, it's like they have other characters as like the supporting cast, but there's no other villain character that is the same as Benny, and that's what hurts them. I love the sequels also. Tomb of the Dragon Emperor is a bit rough. It's like a okay movie to me. I like the second one because it's it's a continuation of the first, and I love it.
And it also has Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a PS2 villain.
As the Scorpion King, yeah. Which you're gonna love when you see that movie.
Oh yeah, I've seen the clips where he literally looks like a character model.
You haven't seen the best clip, and I know you haven't seen it because I can tell that the joy isn't there yet. It's during the final fight scene, and it's an amazing clip, and you'll know it when it happens, and that's all I'm going to say.
I can't wait then.
Like, you're gonna be watching it, you're gonna be like, is this what he's talking about? Is this what he's talking about? It's going to happen. You're gonna be like, that's it.
So anyway, to tie up the plot summary, we get a standard action adventure right off into the sunset ending. They're all like, oh, what an adventure we just had. And then the main character's dad is there, and they're like, oh, this was such a great adventure, Indiana. And then the dad's like, what? That's the dog's name.
What? No, that's not what happens.
I don't know what movie you were watching.
I like to imagine you watched the movie, and then at the very end, someone taped over it just the ending to the fucking Last Crusade. You're like, this is still the same movie. Weird that they mentioned Indiana Jones.
Someone taped over my Blu-ray copy of The Mummy.
They edit it. They just go in. They just remove the final ending scene, replace it from a different movie with the same plot.
Well, I guess it makes sense then that the disc is, the label is written in Sharpie. I was wondering what that was about. Like the
telltale signs.
The Blu-ray, like the case looks fine. Like it's a Mummy Blu-ray case, but the disc, it's The Mummy, but the last 5 minutes are from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. And I thought it was just a long title. I thought The Mummy was short for The Mummy, but the last 5 minutes are from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade.
Yeah. God damn it, Alex. But anyway, so it's a wonderful action-adventure ending. They ride off into the sunset. You get to see that everyone has the gold stolen from the grave that was stolen from Benny, that they stole from him. So it's like grave robbing ×3, I guess, because there's like so many corpses that are linked to that.
If you steal the gold from the person that stole the gold, like you're not stealing from an indigenous culture, you're stealing from a thief. So that makes it okay.
Stealing from, yeah. Well, technically
there's enough degrees of separation.
Still are stealing. Technically, it's still stealing, but Benny, it is his gold because Imhotep offered him all the riches in the world if he helps him, and he did help him.
Good point.
So technically, Benny didn't steal anything, and he was in the right the whole time. Justice for Benny.
He was just making a withdrawal.
He was just getting his end of the deal, and then he died for it.
What if the mummy from the Mummy is the person that stole the gold?
You know, if I could rewrite the sequel to The Mummy, I'd have it be the same movie, except instead of Imhotep coming back, it's Benny. Benny's the mummy now.
No, I like to imagine, like, because Imhotep wasn't like the pharaoh or anything. He was the high priest.
Yeah.
But he promises Benny like the whole treasure room, right?
Basically, yeah.
So that's like if you were like, you know, the head of like a major church in the United States, and then suddenly like 3,000 years later,
I see where you're going,
you're resurrected
now.
And like, you offer someone the Federal Reserve.
I see no problem with this.
There's no one around like from your time to be like, hey, you don't own all that. So, you know, you can just kind of like do with it as you please.
Yeah? I own the Federal Reserve. Give me money.
So yeah, The Mummy, 1999.
I love this movie. This movie will always be my favorite movie.
You know, I don't say this that often, so cherish this. But Jared, you were right. This movie was incredible.
It is fucking perfect. And I want more movies like this. This is the fucking like Indiana Jones action adventure movies I love. And there's like 4 of them in existence, and it pisses me off.
4 of them? Well, I know there's the Mummy trilogy, but are you counting the Tom Cruise ones?
No, I'm talking about 4 movies isn't in the genre. There's the Indiana Jones franchise.
Yeah.
There's the Mummy. There's Deep Rising. And then there's my current pick of the week, which I will talk about a little bit because I also want you to watch this one.
Yeah, so let's just close out this segment with general thoughts. Like, yeah, so you mentioned like, action adventure. It's a very sparse genre, and
it's
like they've tried making they've tried making mummy movies since this. Like with
they don't work because they don't have the same level of like ham in it. You know,
it's not campy.
Like the reason why The Mummy worked so well is because it knew what it was going to be and what they wanted to do with it. They weren't trying to make this overly serious movie. They wanted to make a classic action adventure movie that you would like think of when you're a kid, like Indiana Jones and shit. And they made it, and they fucking nailed it.
Yeah, like trying to remake it as like a Hollywood blockbuster with Tom Cruise. Like it seems like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want more movies like this.
It is a disaster. Well, you're in luck, Alex, because I do have a recommendation of the week that is almost exactly like The Mummy, just different in a lot of ways, which we'll get into during that segment. But back to general thoughts. I love the movie. It's a very campy movie. There's a lot of scenes in it that are dumb, but that's what makes it great. It is one of the greatest movies ever, and no one will take that away from it. What about you, Alex?
Well, I don't really have much else to say. I liked it a lot. I wish there was more. I wish there were more movies like it. So yeah, I strongly recommend checking it out. I don't think it's on it's on HBO Max, but who has HBO Max? But I got the trilogy on Blu-ray at Target for $10, so you could probably find it around that price. Probably cheaper on DVD. See if you can get like a used copy or something at least. Like you gotta watch this. Like however you can. Like please watch it.
Yeah. Like you
especially if it's on like Netflix. Like if it's on another country's Netflix, check it out. Like I don't know. I don't use a VPN, so I shouldn't advertise that, should I? Please hack me.
Please hack me.
But
if you need to hack me to watch The Mummy, do it.
But yeah, so
It's a worthy goal.
Yeah, if it's on like any country's Netflix or whatever, and you can connect with that, definitely watch it. Yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on it. Now, before we get into recommendations of the week, I have to go to the bathroom, so you get Jerry's Corner, which we haven't done in a few episodes.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'll be back in a minute.
All right. So I figured for this Jerry's Corner, I'm just going to spoil all of The Mummy 2. So it opens up. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's fucking mean. Can you imagine, though? Just imagine if I did that. He'd be like going through the recording and he'd just find that and just be like, what the fuck, dude? No, but I will give him a little sneak peek and tell you guys about my second favorite movie in the action adventure genre called Big Trouble in Little China. It's the third movie, I think, during John Carpenter's whole like apocalypse trilogy he was making, where he wanted to make different movies about the end of the world. And this one is fucking beautiful. It is about a truck driver who goes to Chinatown in, I forget which state it is, but it's just this like San Francisco. It's San Francisco's Chinatown, in which he finds out his friend's fiance is abducted by this gang, which is then revealed to be led by a 2,000-year-old Chinese sorcerer who has been made immortal. It is beautiful. It is just as campy as The Mummy, and there's a lot of weird shit in it, and I fucking love it. So I recommend you check that out. Check out The Mummy. Check out all the Indiana Jones movies. And if you're interested in something more fucked up, look up Deep Rising, because there is that scene where a half-digestive guy shows up, and it is disgusting and horrible, and oh my god, who thought that was a good idea to show that to children? But anyway, while we wait for him, I'll just talk more about Big Trouble in Little China by just reading to you the back for it. Directed by thrill master John Carpenter, this edge-of-your-seat adventure stars Kurt Russell as Jack Burton, a tough-talking, wisecracking truck driver whose humdrum life on the road takes a sudden supernatural tailspin when his best friend's fiancée is kidnapped. Speeding to the rescue, Jack finds himself beneath San Francisco's Chinatown in a murky, creature-filled world ruled by Lo Pan, a 2,000-year-old magician who mercilessly presides over an empire of spirits. Dodging demons and facing baffling terrors, Jack battles his way through Lo Pan's dark domain in a full-throttle, action-riddled ride to rescue the girl. Co-starring Kim Cattrall, this effects-filled sci-fi spectacle speeds to an incredible twist-taking finish. This movie is also the reason why Mortal Kombat came to be, because the character Raiden is basically stolen from this movie. There is 3 characters in it called the Storms, and what they are is they're these like extremely powerful like bodyguards of Lo Pan, and their names are Rain, Thunder, and Lightning. Lightning is just Raiden. Like they just stole Lightning from this movie, and then they made Raiden for Mortal Kombat out of him. Like he even has the hat and everything. Like the difference is Lightning wears like a cape. But yeah, they just stole this for that game. But it is an amazing, absolutely amazing movie. And if you liked The Mummy, you will love it. It's a bit quiet now. Just waiting in silence. You know, actually, since it's Jerry's Corner and I can just do whatever I want, I want to talk to you guys about this. So I've got into Warhammer 40k, and I like the army I've built. I built them around the chapter, which is a sub faction, basically. Like you get your main faction, and then you have to pick like a group from that faction, and you can build your army around that. You get special bonuses and stuff.
I'm back.
All right, never mind. I'll talk about that later.
Are you explaining Warhammer?
I was going to complain about something. No, I just basically told them about my favorite movies, and then I was going to talk about Warhammer, about this stupid rule I found in the my rule book. But let's get into recommendations. I'll let you go with yours first, and then I'll talk about mine.
Yeah, so I have a couple recommendations of the week for this week. The first one is a YouTube channel, Dave Rubin Clips. Dave Rubin Clips on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Basically, if you haven't heard of Dave Rubin, he's a right-wing grifter guy. He's one of those why I left the left people, but generally not a smart person. There's a lot of videos from this channel, Dave Rubin Clips. By the way, it's a parody channel. It's like making fun of Dave Rubin, but
watches that just like they're agreeing with him.
No,
like, these are my best takes.
There's one video that's like Dave Rubin versus words, and it's like 2.5 minutes of Dave Rubin being like, "Oh, this is like the butterfly effect," and then he names a term, and then he like gives like a definition of that term, but it's never correct.
Damn.
He's like, "Oh, this is just like the butterfly effect, where like if you try to censor something, that draws more attention to it."
That's not. I don't think that's the butterfly effect. I'm an idiot, so I don't know.
That's the Streisand effect. But like, yeah, even like a normie would know, like, oh, the butterfly effect. That's like time travel, whatever. There's time travel rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Dave Rubin. He doesn't know. There's also a video, like a compilation of him calling Thanos a leftist SJW.
What?
And basically saying the left is when Thanos. So yeah, that's a
what? The what?
It's a funny channel. Check it out. It'll be linked in the description down below. My second recommendation is a music mashup. I am a big fan of those, taking one song and adding it with another and making a beautiful love child, much like a Doc Ock Spider-Man love child.
Yeah, so this one is Leviathan X Babylon 1.
No, you put your glasses back on. No, it's Levitating by Dua Lipa, crossed with Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. And it's a fun little mashup. If you like one and or both of those songs, check it out. It'll be linked down below. And it's a bop.
Yeah, it's a Bob. It's Bob Ross. He's in it too.
Bob Aran.
Yeah. Burp. Oh shit, pardon me.
So
now it's my turn.
Yeah, last recommendation. Take it away.
I want you to read this and try to figure out what it is.
Okay, so the title is Big Trouble in Little China.
What do you think this is?
Well, I see there's some juxtaposition going on. I'm not Googling it. So there's some juxtaposition with Big Trouble, which on its own, no one wants that. But you're trying to condense that within Little China, which I'm assuming is not within the borders of Big China, or else it would just be absorbed into the entity that is Big China. So it's kind of like Agar.io, that one game with the blobs and stuff. So Little China is off doing its own thing, but Big Trouble steps in. Big Trouble's like, hey, I'm running things around here now. Okay, I'm the sheriff around these parts. So I can only assume that this is a biopic about Big Trouble kind of just making its way, making a name for itself in Little China, kind of like a Batman Year One type story.
What if I told you that you were almost right with that?
So, Big Trouble has some trials and tribulations and not everything goes Big Trouble's way, but ultimately in the end, Big Trouble learns a very valuable lesson. And that is when you have the opportunity to cause big trouble, but you don't no. If you have the responsibility hold on, that's not it. If you have
the moral obligation to cause big trouble in Little China.
If you're able to have the moral obligation, then you really should be in Little China.
So
and that's the takeaway.
Big Trouble in Little China is the fourth movie that I would say is one of the best action adventure movies. One of the fabled four that I would recommend. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's starring Kurt Russell. It is directed by John Carpenter, and what it is
father of the bad guy from Captain America Boys, throwing the shield and fighting crime.
Oh, is he?
Kurt Russell is Wyatt Russell's father. We talked about that.
I thought you said John Carpenter.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. But, so what this movie is
the
about...
Russell boys are out there causing trouble. They're just all over the place. We got one in New York. We got one in Little China. And we're going to have one in Old something and a Big something.
Old Town Road.
The four horsemen of the apocalypse.
No, thinking about that though, this is a movie that John Carpenter made for his personal apocalypse trilogy, where he made 3 movies all about the end of the world. And this movie though it's like The Mummy, except it's very different, and I don't know how else to explain it than that. It's fun action adventure, which is really campy and has a lot of dumb shit in it. It's
I'm looking at one
beautiful.
of the posters, and it looks like a Sega Genesis game.
Yeah, it's great. You should see the poster I've got. It looks like shit, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, now, look at what I'm sending to the Discord chat. That poster, it looks like it.
That's my poster. That's not all of it though. You're missing all of the bad guys in it. Cause it's just a big picture of Kurt Russell, and then underneath him is everyone else.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the one that you're talking about. Yeah, all of these look like the covers of a Sega Genesis game.
Oh, but let me tell you about this movie, though. So what it is Kurt Russell plays a man named Jack Barton, who is a truck driver who's making deliveries and stuff, and he decides to visit one of his friends, a Chinese man that lives in San Francisco's Chinatown district.
I would like to think that this is canon in the Christmas Chronicles universe.
I hope so, because there's magic in this movie.
After Big Trouble makes his way in Little China, he makes his way up north.
Basically, Kurt Russell's character is Big Trouble, and he is in San Francisco, Chinatown, Little China. But his friend's fiance is kidnapped by a group. This gang there's a huge gang war between these two groups in San Francisco's Chinatown.
This is free on YouTube.
Watch it. You need to watch that. Next episode, we need to fucking talk about this movie.
Look, this isn't even like an illegal rip. Like, this isn't like a piracy situation. Like, this is from the official YouTube Movies account.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's free with ads.
Oh, you have no idea how happy that makes me. I own it, but I still would watch it on YouTube's too. I fucking love this fucking movie. But yeah, no, but like I was saying though, this movie though, it is about like his friend's fiance is kidnapped, and so he decides he's going to help find them. They're gonna go fight this gang, and then it just turns into fucking like wizards and shit, and that's all I'm gonna say. Also, Raiden from Mortal Kombat, the lightning guy.
I know nothing about Mortal Kombat.
Okay, so in Mortal Kombat, there's a character named Raiden who is like a god who has the power of lightning, and his whole like thing is he's got like this whole get up where he's like this. He's got like this like the rice farmer hat kind of looking thing. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're
right?
talking about.
And he's got like a white tunic and everything on, and he's supposed to look like this stereotypical like Asian farmer character, but he's got lightning powers. They stole that from this movie. So that character shows up, and I don't want to talk anymore about this movie. I talked a little bit during Jerry's Corner, but this is another movie I highly recommend because it's also fucking amazing.
All right, yeah. Link in description, I guess, because it's on YouTube.
I will warn you though, this one is also like dated, like really dated at some points because it's from like 1980s. So just be prepared for that. But no, it's a fucking great movie. It's fun. If you go into it expecting some like in-depth look at like Chinese culture, you're not gonna get much of it.
Oh yeah, it's like watching The Mummy and expecting to learn about Egypt.
Yeah, like they do the fake Chinese culture. It's like, oh yeah, magic's real. You drink this tea, it turns you into a god, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like Chinese culture from the perspective of just some white chuckle fuck.
No, my favorite thing about this movie though is even though Kurt Russell's character is the main character in it, he gets his ass handed to him the most. Like every time there's a fight scene, he just gets fucking destroyed.
It's like I said earlier, not everything goes Big Trouble's way. And sometimes Big Trouble has to take a loss, but ultimately in the end, it helps him learn the valuable lesson that, sometimes if you have the ability to do something, it'll oftentimes include with it as sort of a package deal, a moral obligation, one might say, to do the thing. And if you don't, then that's bad.
That's beautiful, Alex.
Very profound, I know.
But yeah, so that's my recommendation of the week. Alex, you have to watch it because I really want to talk about this movie.
All right.
We're getting into movies I love, and now I want to talk about them.
It's just going to be a solid streak of action adventure movies.
Hell fucking yes! You're going to make me cry.
So, anyway,
those have been our recommendations of the week. Thank you for watching us with your ears.
Yeah. So let's just close it out.
Hell yeah. Close this door so we can open another one.
Thank you for listening to Bold of You to Say. If this is your first time here, welcome. Congratulations on making it this far. Check out some more of our episodes and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you like this episode, if you like the show, if you like what we do here, leave us a review on Podchaser. That's like an IMDb site for podcasts. We're running out of time for this, but during the month of April, which we still have like a week of, for every review that is made on Podchaser, they are going to donate 25 cents to Meals on Wheels. And if we respond, they'll donate an additional 25 cents. So leave us a review, preferably positive. But if you leave us a negative review, we can take that for charity. But just know we will roast you back, and it is for charity.
Oh, yeah.
Check out our merch. That'll be linked down below. We have shirts on TeePublic. We got one design so far. That's Muscle Rock. Treat yourself to a Muscle Rock shirt. You can also get them as a button or like a pin or wall art. Just any kind of form, and that helps us out, keeps the lights on,
keeps me motivated.
Follow us on social media. Follow us on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok.
Friend me on my gaming platform.
Yeah, friend Jared on Steam and/or Xbox. Share the show with a friend. Tweet out our clips. That'll be linked down below in the description. I say down below, but this is a podcast, so there's no below. But in the description, there will be our clips channel. Share those. That's a great way to get eyes and ears on the show.
If you want eyes or ears on this show, you have to come and comment on it. All right. Otherwise, we're not letting those fuckers in.
Yeah. Subscribe. Follow us. Turn on automatic downloads, turn on notifications for new episodes so you don't miss the next one. And just thanks for listening.
Have a good 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Of course, good 9 a.m. through 9 p.m. Those are our official business hours.
If you don't do the things we've said, I will go to your house and I will steal all of your pets.
That
one's a viable threat.
That's real shit.
This is the worst one because this could actually happen.